Well, hello and welcome to In the Draft podcast powered by Leadout. I'm Nathan Guerra, your host, Anna Russell, guest today. And this is your one-stop shop for all things cycling esports. This new podcast, you guys will be probably familiar with us from Zwift Community Live. We are rebranding into a whole new future for cycling esports. So this place is going to be all about exclusive interviews with top athletes, industry leaders, insider scoops, strategy breakdowns, training tips, etc. with myself and special guests. For those of you that are wondering, is Anna here for the mainstay co-host? She made it very clear in pre-productions. This is a one-time right now, and we'll try and get her back. So make sure to show her as much love as you possibly can. You guys should know Anna Russell, though, if you're familiar with the rap from in the past. We'll go all into what Leadout is all about during this episode for sure. It's great to see everybody in chat, and it's great to be back. Today, though, on our first episode of In the Draft, we're going to be talking about, well, what has been happening since we sunset the wrap. It's been about, I think, 9 months, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more than that. And a lot has gone down since then. Indy Velo went to Training Peaks Virtual. My Whoosh and the UCI had the World Championships and crowned 2 world champions. We had the Zwift World Series that then took a pause. Is going to be having a restart in April. We also have Zwift Games that Anna and I just got done commentating on. So we'll be talking about Zwift Games recap as well. We had a great update, and this is actually what kicked off the idea of having this podcast actually, was Zwift Update 1.86. I got a message in my DMs from Anna like, oh my gosh, what is this update? What is going on with this? And I was like, my response was, you know you want to. That's all I said. Come on, you know you want to. And she goes, what was it? You literally said, haha, I know, I do so many decisions. I feel like I need to get it on a spreadsheet. And then if you're keen for one, let's go. Monday morning NZT. Boom, slotting it in. Gotcha. So we got her. Then we'll be talking about the UK esports championships that are coming up on Friday that we're also commentating on, and talk about what that is, what we see that as a part of the larger landscape in cycling esports, as well as how Leadout is involved. So let's get right down into it. If you do want to chat with us at all, we are watching. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, as well as Facebook. This will be uploaded to the Draft podcast on anywhere that you download your podcasts after this live episode. So let's get right down into what have we been up to. I'm going to put this on Anna first. Just a little bit of like a life update, as well as like work and relation to riding your bike. Cause I've seen you like, I think riding gravel a little bit more, doing some running, maybe some tries.
Yeah, so hi everybody. Welcome. I'm back as a guest, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, so I came off the wrap. Yeah, it was about 9 months ago, and I loved it. It was a great 2 years, weekly show, and it was awesome. But I took on a new role as a general manager at Triathlon New Zealand, and there was just a lot going on. I was also competing in the World Champs last year for the Ironman 70.3, and it was just getting so much, especially with all the little kiddos running around and getting into their sports. And if you hear nails and stuff, it's because we've got a full like house build going on. So everything just got a little bit too crazy, and I couldn't commit every week. So that's kind of what was going on for me. But yeah, I'm super excited. It was the update that we just saw coming in that made me go, oh, I wish I just could talk about this with Nathan, because it's so epic. Finally, we got a garage update, and we've been honestly wanting this for so long. So we'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, I still race on ZRL, still really into Zwifting, but yeah, got into gravel riding. We did like a 500k gravel big adventure ride, with personal locator beacons, like that kind of ride, so remote, but with a crew from Zwift actually. So with a bunch of the girls that I ride with on ZRL. So yeah, we went out and did that, and it was amazing. Christy Tracy was actually going to come and join us. She had her flights and everything. And then 2 weeks before she was supposed to come over, she broke her pelvis, I think, in a bike crash. So she's delayed her trip, so she'll come out next year. But Catherine Curie also came out, not on our trip, but came out to New Zealand and did some gravel riding. So yeah, all the Zwifters coming out to New Zealand. But it's good to be back in this guest spot. I don't feel as much pressure like to have it every week. Just when there's awesome garage or fashion updates, I'll be here. I'm your gal.
Sounds good. Definitely always need that guest for sure, for the hype in game across Zwift. So, okay, for me, what I think a lot of people, it was like the rap sunset and ZCL just disappeared, right? So I think there's probably like, what happened to ZCL? And I actually have this great idea, I don't know, about how to tell the story a little bit, but for like the larger audience, because those who are close to the channel will kind of know the history here, but those who are maybe just coming in or new or, jumped on board about halfway through or in the last couple of years might not know. And so just the reality is that there's always been confusion a little bit. And I think this was a good move actually in a lot of ways about what's Zwift and what's Zwift Community Live when it came to the broadcasting spaces and when it came to the events and the event support and all that kind of stuff. And so I think making everything one place and in-house and one team that's happening inside of Zwift with all things broadcast and event support and their own events made a lot of sense. And so I still play a role there, everybody. Like we still have the Zwift Live stuff happening on Tuesdays. Now we just don't have a thing where it's like, well, what's Zwift Live and what's Zwift Community Live? And like getting some sort of overlap confusion between those two things. So, and I feel like you want to say something there.
I saw
a thought.
Yeah, did you? Yeah, you know me too well. Is you can talk about different platforms now, right? So this Leadout avenue, it's purposefully not called Zwift Community Live.
Yeah, we can talk about the whole space. Yeah. We still work directly with Zwift, but there's the reality that we here at Leadout want to create a space to have a conversation about everything. It's not just a Zwift mouthpiece, right? That's not what this is. And so when you remove that, it kind of, especially in a podcast space, it makes it so that you can have conversations that aren't directly connected to a brand, if that makes sense to everybody, right? Like if the brand is right there and then you're saying things that are like critical or you're talking a lot about another platform or there's all this, it just doesn't feel as free, and a lot of it can be just perception. Like maybe on ZCL, we were like, just like with the Zwiftcast was pretty critical, and pretty straightforward. But at the same time, there's always that perception and that question of how it's being communicated in the space that it sits in. There's also the reality of Leadout, and maybe we can go a little bit into what Leadout is all about right here too, because if I'm going to talk about what I've been up to, I've been building out this idea for 10 years, honestly, because in this space of cycling esports, the same problems have come up over and over and over again. And I like the movie Robots a lot. The main character in the movie Robots, if you watch the kids' movie, he says, see a need, fill a need. And he gets to work. And he's always out there in the community helping people. And I always am like, that's something I would like to aspire to, that I see a need and I fill a need. And the needs that I see amongst the organizers in the community being at the center of broadcast in a lot of ways. And broadcast, just so everybody knows, at the end of the day is actually just live event management. If you're really involved in the nuts and bolts of helping it become a successful broadcast, you have to make sure things are working from start all the way to finish. And so when you start seeing that over many, many, many years, you end up helping with the administration of every single part of event organization. And so as I saw all the problems and all the needs starting to develop, and maybe some of them being served well, some of them not being served simply just out of priority and who the users are that have those needs necessarily, it made it so that I was like, look, Leadout can, or whatever this is where I'm existing, I keep on pushing up against a wall going, hey, I want to serve these needs. And so that's what Leadout is looking to do, is to be a like front to end. How do we help the racing esports cycling community fulfill the needs that they have in this space? That's what our main goal. That's our aim. That's our goal, is to grow the premium experience up front is going to be our main focus of serving the esports cycling community from front to end of all event organization, from the individual cyclists to the organizers to rule makers, sanctioning. I mean, all the way across the entire thing, all the way to the ends of broadcast, because we have experience across the entire thing. And the reason that we named it Leadout is because we were the pioneers in this space. Like we were the first ones to go for this and just turn on a microphone and start learning this craft. And this need actually in the cycling esports space has popped up continually. And it's because it's digital. It's because it's data. It's not like the in real world. It's not similar in that it has a different place in order to make things real. Because just like we have a virtual world, for things to be real, to have access points, and for things to be real in some sort of way that people can use and interact with, this keeps coming up where there needs to be a space to do that. And so we want Leadout to be the space where you can come in, sit in the draft. and we lead you out to your finish line. That's the idea.
You're the Lotta Kopecky of esport.
No, we can talk about that. Oh,
I finally watched the race. I finally watched it. And so, yeah, you're the Lotta Kopecky. But on that,
Borghini, that should have been a Longo Borghini win. Come on. No, she earned that.
Before we go into that. And so your first event that you're doing this is this event coming up this weekend.
Yes. Yeah. We can talk. You want to talk about that right away? We can do that.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. So that we can kind of get like a picture of what this all looks like when it comes together.
Totally. So let's go ahead real quickly and head on over to the website. Actually, we just launched. It's a soft launch. We're not like super marketing or anything yet so far, but you can find us over at leadoutesports.com. Up at the top, our first event. Right now, it's just going to have our media because that's what we're mainly serving. We are organizing events with people, but it's mainly custom made at this point. But we are partnering in with Cycling Esports UK, and you can find the overview of this event that's coming up, men's and women races, over here at leadoutesports.com. You can also find it at /UK-2025. As you can see, all the race information is here, as well as course map, watch the race. We are partnering with ZMS, which is absolutely awesome. And this is also one of our goals, to bring together all of those interested parties in the area of cycling esports and help them with what they need to get everything they need done. That is the whole idea, though, is to help everybody and bring it all into accord with each other so we all get what we need done. That's the whole idea. So registration all ready to go. We've got as well as all of the entries ready to go as well. So it's going to be a great event. This is just event registration and event management at this point. We will be launching dashboards for accounts as well as full account roles across the entirety of the website. That's going to take a little while. Our main push is for fall of 2025. That's our goal, is to we've got a good little roadmap that you try and iterate as you go sometimes, but hopefully we're going to really, really be able to see one of the coolest community fall events through the entirety of 25-26 at a pretty high level, I would hope, coming out of the community.
So question that's coming from the chat is, will you do My Whoosh broadcasts?
As of right now, no. So that is a great question. And we will talk about the other spaces. The other platforms. We will definitely interact with everything as far as this podcast goes. With all of the other platforms, have opinions and all that kind of stuff. There are, as far as Leadout goes, as its own individual platform right now. There is no agreements in place, but I don't know that we are going to be in a place in the near future to go fully multi-platform. And I don't know if that's what we want to do or will not want to do when it comes to the esports space. So in the same way, and so I'll relate this to the UCI, right? Like the UCI currently have an exclusive deal with World Championships, right? And so moving forward, what are the what are the platforms that we want to work with? What are the, different ways that we want to work across the entire space? And what platforms want to work with us? And then what are the agreements across all of that? So all that needs to be worked out for sure. The other thing is that, to be super honest, I mean, my Whoosh have a really extravagant broadcast setup. Actually, like it's I shouldn't say that sounds critical. They have it's good. It's like really, like they have a good broadcast setup. Now, whether or not the game is keeping up with the needs of broadcast, because when I was at World Championships, they are employing like top level esports teams. Yeah, like they got a serious team. And when you watch what they're doing across the broadcast, it's like, wow, they know what they're doing when it comes to the productions that are outside of connections to the game. You can see that is really, really high level. And so I don't know that they necessarily need anybody else, or if they want anybody else, there's that as well, So
yeah.
Interesting.
It's kind of almost kind of the reverse there. Like you're saying that my Whoosh, and I've actually never watched a broadcast on my Whoosh, but you're saying like the game needs to catch up to the broadcast. I'd almost say that like it was the other way around with Zwift, right? It was like the game was there and the broadcast took a while to catch up. And I think like if we go to what we've seen over the weekend, like we were commentating and the Zwift games, some of the functionality on there now we were talking about is awesome. Like being able to see online virtual leaderboards changing position right there and then is probably like one of the best features I've seen in a broadcast that kept it super engaging. A lot of that looks disgusting what you've just drunk.
Well, I have a little buddy who just decided to hang out in my coffee. Yeah. Thanks, nice. Ladybug.
But because we always talk about that, right? Like why would people tune in and watch this? And I think the fact that you can now get a lot of that data live while the broadcast is actually going on is the benefit you have there. And I was watching the Milan-San Remo yesterday and I saw, occasionally there was like the descent that Garner was on and they were pulling up his live data. They were pulling up his power numbers, all of that, which was super interesting, but they didn't have it on screen the whole time. But if you imagine having Poggy's data while he attacked and you're like, oh, he just did 1,000 watts. To pull away. Now that's what you can do on the esports stuff. I think that made it really great over the weekend. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I think the viewership numbers looked really high. The package was very engaging. And I think, I'm not really at that level of racing anymore, but kind of from watching, it's a product that I think is far more marketable.
Yeah, as far as the Zwift Games goes this weekend, I thought that it was the best productions that we have seen yet. But it blew everything away, in my opinion, from this past weekend that we've seen so far as ideas go and how to engage the audience with what the athletes are experiencing in the data was definitely there, as well as in the competition. We're jumping around a little bit here, but I think
sorry.
That's okay. Me. We can do the Zwift Games recap in a little bit here, but so another question just popping in. I'm going to answer this quick. Don't Zwift have their own broadcast team or not? And this actually opens up to a larger question about the space of why would new broadcasts, teams be needed or not? And across almost all of esports, there is usually, and this is why I brought up the MyWoosh situation, bringing in a separate entity to do the worlds, is that as this grows, platforms a lot of times, or publishers of games, a lot of times they need to just focus in on maybe some of their own events, right? So Zwift run their own events and they have their own broadcast for a lot of their own events. Sometimes I run something for their community race stuff. Sometimes it's their events. Sometimes it's a community highlight that we do on a Tuesday on Zwift Live. But the reality is that the more that you want your community to grow, the more there needs to be stakeholders in the entirety of that space. And so, whether or not Zwift have a broadcast team or Whoosh have a broadcast team or TPV or any platform has a broadcast team, that is a service and a product that can exist outside in the community that can assist the community. And if we're talking about community races and community growth and them starting to own their own things that use platforms as roads in order to host their events, then having separate outside broadcast entities makes a lot of sense. And this is where the definition of roles in a community needs to happen. Like, we need this to, in order, if things are going to become more open and more marketable for the entirety of the community, that point of being able to put your stake in the ground as this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm bringing to the community. And then people come and go, okay, I want that thing. And we've seen this with Ekro, with Chasing Tour going to Ekro. They have a value proposition and people are now saying, I want that. We've seen it with Sauce. We've seen it with, we're at a junction right now. I can see Latterly kind of going, what do we do? I can see there's a lot of different organizers out there going, wait, this is the moment, kind of, I feel like. And so go ahead, Anna.
Well, I was going to say, right to that point with Chasing Tour, I think that other than having to buy a USAT cycling license for those races, Chasing Tour, that's probably the first mover, right, to actually charge to be on the system and to actually use it like a pay to play. Right? I haven't seen that.
So Project Echelon did it with us, but it wasn't like a year round. It was a one-off.
Yeah.
So Echelon and Nationals cost.
Like, I don't know how they will impact their numbers, but I remember having them on the show to talk about it, and they had huge numbers. And I think it got to the point where, and I can speak to this personally, it gets to the points where you volunteer so much time and then you go, it's either I have to charge for this service or I just can't do this anymore. And I think it's getting to that sort of critical point now with a lot of these providers. And I'm kind of looking at WTRL and what they're going to do next, because that's got to be in the plan, right? They've produced a product that year on year has huge numbers. You have the ZRL racing, you've got the weekly TTTs. At some point, outside of paying for the Zwift platform, do people have the appetite now where they would pay an annual license to WTRL of, I don't know, $10 or something? I think we could move down that. And then once you get to that point, then I think you've got a really sustaining esport ecosystem, because then those providers can look around for some production value and say, and we can actually pay for that. And then they say, okay, great. And then the production teams are motivated to put in more work to make a better quality production, because it's paid time, not volunteer time. And then you have a better production, and then you have sponsors who might come into that production and say, well, that looks really good. I'm keen to have my brands on that. And then that creates like a sustaining ecosystem. Whereas I think we've just relied so heavily on passion and volunteers.
Yep, 100%. And I've been banging this gong for quite a long time, and I do think that we are going to start heading this direction of platform rather than, what is the other side of platform? What's the word, like, where somebody can come in and do stuff on a platform and create their own space in order to have some sort of marketable gains or something like that versus, I don't know, serfdom. I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, what's the other word for that? But it's definitely an interesting juncture. And the interesting thing is, like, I have not either. Nobody's ready, and they want to, or they're not sure if that's gonna work. And do we really do do we go all in? You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's where I think, like the Chasing 2 being a first mover, for the most part at a mass scale with this charging, the pay to play. If that works and they lose, like, I don't know, 10% of people who are on the fringes anyway, and we're like, oh, well, I just won't use it. Then the next person will be like, okay, well, now I can see what I'll lose. I'll lose about 10%. But that's worth it for me. And I think I can create a better product and serve the community better. So I think that it's going to change pretty quickly now you've had the first person do it. It's like breaking the 4-minute mile running. Once one person does it, then suddenly everybody does it,
Yeah. Yeah. The WTRL question's an interesting one. I think the other side of this is, in my opinion, people, because of the understanding in the community about community racing, and what the expectation is, I don't think that the expectations are yet well defined at any level other than the elite level. I think at the elite level, they are well defined. Here's the expectation. You walk in and that's it. Like, here's the rules, and and this isn't just a game. Then there's another entry point, which happens across all of the platforms that don't really have any expectations at all. And everybody just makes up their own personal expectations when they enter the space. There's a little bit, like, maybe it says in a little spot, you have to have a heart rate monitor. The game doesn't let you come in unless you have a specific kind of power meter, attached. But outside of that, you have a lot of Facebook posts where people are like, this person's running, look at this with power. And you're like, dude, this is like grandpa in my yard at this point. Like, seriously, like,
but that's not a esports specific thing. Like, I saw, like, the Facebook after the 70.3 world champs, I had to turn it off. I was like, seriously, people, like, this person grabbed my running bag and then they just left my running shoes somewhere, and this person was drafting off me the whole race. Like, there's always people, and I think that's where, like, tangent, but we're okay with these bunny trails, right? Is that there's always this thing with esport, and I saw Chris Schwenker just did an article on Escape Collective on it, like esport is all cheaters, and people kick off about this in IRL racing all the time too. So I think we have this slight fear, I don't know, all of us, that, well, we can't pay for it because then we have to assume every single person that's in these events is, like, honest and racing really well, and we can't have any Facebook complaints, like you were saying, because now people are paying for it. And it's like, I don't think that's true. Like, I pay for triathlon events and grav events or whatever all the time, and yeah, people can
not
race
off,
honestly
they
all
can
the time.
cheat. Yeah,
it's
that's
all
true.
the time. And Facebook, like, honestly, the Facebook kickoffs on some events is crazy, and it's not esport specific.
Okay,
right?
I can appreciate that. I do think that there is that part, that there's always going to be a part of this that is always going to have some, as if, like, and so, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm heading right now towards a crux that you're like, wait, Nathan, I don't know about that crux. It is a service. Performance verification is important, and that can be offered, and it will create a higher premium, but it isn't the end all for that premium or not. People will still pay for that entry. I do think it brings the premium up. I do think that there's also a tier of racing that ends up with broadcast. You're broadcasting something, you're marketing something, you're putting it out there that this is verified sport that can be ranked in a way that's at least has a certain amount, not even at least, has a very high level of trust, has a very high level of verification in some sort of way, if we're going to be putting it out there at that, I don't know, national / world / even regional type events. So it's a good point, though. I think that you have two balances there, because I was about to go into your casual versus competitive space. And I do like making that distinction, because some people are not going to pay for a casual space, right? And that's their expectation, and that's fine. Like, great. And that's probably the bulk right now of people in the virtual cycling, jumping into events for fitness space. And like, that's the main people that have been being served for a really long time. Mm. But there is this there's this smaller, population that is looking for a more competitive, focused, doesn't get ruined by dude that's doing whatever watts per kilogram forever off the front, or even that's even more strict than that wants between 1% to 3%, variance on dual powers and can match whatever kind of a thing, data verification. And I do think
that wouldn't you say that if we go back to say a ZRL, like I would like 100% pay for that service, to come along, as long as it doesn't impact the numbers in our region so much that we're racing against no one. That would be the issue. But as long as we've got good, decent fields of racing. And when it comes down to verification, like so many of these teams now in the likes of ZRL, it's been going for 4 or 5 years now. They're so established. I don't think you have, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm taking an example from like A category women's racing, not B category men. So I have no idea, but it's so well self-policed now. Like if there was a rider that turned up in one of these teams that was a bit rogue, straight away we'd just say to that team manager, like, hey, we don't think that's quite right. And they would probably be like, yeah, like it's so well self-policed. I don't see it being that much of a problem in that level of racing because of the team element, right? Like, and I went over and stayed with Matt Jansen, so the head of the Sisu racing team. And, he takes that really seriously as a team manager to make sure that all his riders are, legit and, not doing any silly things. And if people are doing silly things, then, they'll kind of have a warning and then they'll be let go. Right. So I think like, yeah, if you enter like a big spin, this be like
I had people come on. Okay, I gotta go off on this one, guys. I know some of you out there. Are just always wanting to some reason called, and it's this was not a topic I wanted to touch on, but I'm gonna just bring it to the table right now. Like the in real life pro versus the indoor cycling. There's another category of just people who indoor cycle and like to get fit, and they have like, great, you're getting fit, and maybe they have good numbers or bad numbers, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then you have these like elite esport athletes, right? And like, there's this dichotomy between them where it's like this, like where I feel like, and I sense this, because we have in real life results, that means all our data is good. And that like we have a right to talk about other people's data because we have in real life results. And it's like, that's not science in any way. This is literally science. Just so you guys know, this is like, can you falsify something or not falsify something? That like, it's literally like you could go get all the results, and like Tadej Pogačar could show up and do all these results, and that's great. And then he could go online and his numbers could be bad. Like, and he could just like be like spinning on whatever trainer, could be doing something weird, and his heart rate could be whatever. It could be like an effort that's not measuring right. It doesn't matter that he got an in real life result. Like that's not, some reason that logic like doesn't compute with a lot of in real life pros that are coming into this space, that like those like, and just because it gives you confidence in some sort of correlated way about your feelings about their ability, it literally has no bearance like at all on whether or not their data was good. Like zero. Literally the correlation is zero. And so like I get a little like frustrated because like I want, and you try to communicate this with my friends. These people are all my friends on Discords and things like that. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm walking into a political discussion in the middle of America right now. Like, okay, I'm just gonna walk away.
Oh, should we get into that? Should we chat about American politics?
No, we should not.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Sorry, okay. There we go. There's a tangent. There's a tangent. This is what everybody shows up for.
Yeah, Lisa Hopkins is saying she's missed Nathan's rants. Haven't we all?
Oh, gosh.
Haven't we all missed these rants?
Okay, so let's go into what's happened. We'll do this one quick. Let's just do over what's happened since the wrap with TPV, Whoosh and Worlds, and then Zwift World Series. And the main question we're going to answer here is and we just talked about a lot of different things around this as well, with TPV, like nationals and federations moving to other platforms, Whoosh putting on Worlds, and everything that's gone down there. The elevation in my and maybe I, because I have an elite athlete that is in home here, silver medalist, like maybe my perception is skewed because we live in this universe. But like, and then the World Series, Zwift Games, like now there's new organizations starting to like really try and put a stake in the ground in the market. UCI is making plans about how they're going to start sanctioning, it seems like. Like, are we starting to see like the budding and the little bit of fruit on that tree that would be, this is a verified, recognized professional sport? Like, are we on the edge of that or not? You know what I mean? Like, has so much changed? Because I think a year ago we looked at each other like, I don't know, like who knows what's going to happen? And has it gotten disrupted to a point where it seems like things are going to develop, or is it like, nah, I don't think so?
I think we're going to be at two different ends of the spectrum here on this, but I think that's more from our context. So like you said, you're married to the second in the world esporter, Gabby. You're in this every day. Since I finished the podcast, like I sold all podcasting esports stuff and bought a drum kit, and I race on Zwift, but like, if I'm completely honest, just don't watch it. Like, I don't watch it. I was commentating on it, and so I was watching while I was commentating. It was super engaging and awesome, but that was the first thing I've watched in about a year, esport wise. So I work for a governing body, so I guess it's
that says a lot, actually, because you're close to sport, but you're like, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I think there's the part that's interesting to me, and I'm going to take a real like wide view here, I guess, is that for the likes of cycling and triathlon, where you use open roads for events, so you have road closure costs to close those roads. That is probably the biggest thing, in my opinion, that will move people to esport, is because the cost of running these events on road is becoming so prohibitively high that in some areas you just don't have that option anymore. So you had a race in, I want to say Belgium or the Netherlands, I could have this wrong, recently, a women's race that's been there for 25 years, and they cancelled it this year because they couldn't afford the cost of being able to run the event. Now we have what I think is like a resurgence in some of these sports, especially off the back of the pandemic. There was a long hangover from that with these open sports that are on open roads. But the cost has become so high that I think that could move people to esport. But I wouldn't say in my day-to-day life, other than, talking with you, Nathan, and some of the people on my team, I don't hear or feel it. Like, I don't see the recent IOC president, Kirsty Coventry, coming in with a big, hey, we're going to move Olympics online, or we're going to have this esport arm. I know David Lapatiente has, the UCI president has that with he looks over the esport side of it. But I think other than my Whoosh just giving them a truckload of money to run a world champs, I don't know. Like, I think at the real pointy end, and what we saw in the Zwift Games, that is phenomenal. Like, that has become such a crisp product and a real esports specialist, and people can actually make a living off that, which is awesome. But I don't know if I see it as like a a viable commercial product yet.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we are talking about we can talk about three different things here. And what was really interesting, I went to the MKE, the Milwaukee Esports conference, actually, just a couple weeks ago. I was there with Project Echelon. Hayden Pucker was there. They were riding, showing things off. And it was like this really interesting meetup between college esports, Overwatch, and like gamers, and then we're there, right? Like, and all the computer, all these like, Corsair was there, and like a couple of different computer companies and production companies. But one of the main things that they said was, and this, what you just said is the norm in esports. This isn't exclusive to us. Okay. There's a very small percentage of pros, super, super small. And then a whole bunch of people buying publisher and peripheral products to the publishers, or other way around, products that then can run the publisher's products, right? So games and PCs and all the peripheral, like, and they're just raking in money because people are having fun, right? But it isn't about sport, right? And the sport side of it is like these little passionate high school, it's very important, but they're these high school and college programs that are doing it for the sake of the thing in and of itself, because it's sport to them and they want to do it. It doesn't have anything about going pro, right? And so so when I say professional sport, that's a different marketable product. You're right there. So then a discipline in and of itself, at least. You know what I mean? Let's back it up a little bit from professional and go, well, okay, there's a small number of pros like all of esport, but we at least, I think, are starting to see a discipline in and of itself starting to bud. That's very getting pretty well established in some ways. And we're just kind of waiting for those groundworks to be laid from the organizing bodies overall. So I know those are two different things, but I think one helps the other in a sense.
And I think the organizing bodies, at least in my experience, are not motivated at all in this space. Like, to be honest, I think that if we look at cycling, say, they can barely find the motivation to support like BMX or mountain biking, let alone esport. It's pretty much track and road. And so it's why I sort of, from a gut, I just don't think you can lean on, and we've always had this discussion. I remember having this discussion so many times, like, is this a game or is this a sport? And I just think like we can't rely on governing bodies, because also they move slowly and they've got a lot more things traditionally that they are enshrined in that isn't esport, right? So you might have the odd governing body that's quite progressive and would see the opportunity, but I think that's pretty few and far between. And if I look at some of the chats in our group, the frustrations with various governing bodies around the world and the lack of support for esport, even just getting like a jersey to wear on the world champs like stream, right, so that they can represent their country, even that sometimes is too much. So I think maybe the governing body situation will change when younger people come in, or people who are more exposed to this side of the sport. But I don't know. I still see it as like, but again, I'm seeing it totally from my own viewpoint. I see it as a really great fitness product that keeps me motivated. If my kids came to me and said they wanted to be professional esporters in cycling at this point, I would suggest not doing that. So, I don't know if that's
yeah. So can I'm going to say that I agree. I do think though that the opportunity for something new in this space and a new way of doing things, maybe with the federations, so a space that can move quicker if we have an onboarding of those passionate individuals and organizations into or in partnership with the federations could create a world movement in some ways, that from the ground up. At least that would be my hopes. The other side of that, I
think that you're like you will be before the federations. So the federations at some point, like I go back to like road closure costs and all of that, they're not there yet, but they'll be forced to be there, is kind of the view I
totally,
have. Like you
totally.
go 5 to 10 to 15 years down the track, they will have to move. Like they won't have a choice. And you'll have a product sitting there. But it's that before the federations. The federations will only move when they have to.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're probably right. And I think we're already seeing some of what you're saying. So yeah, definitely. So I do want to touch on quickly what MKE Esports and their leadership actually said. They said that, and we think, oh, esports, the other side, they're so big and whatever, and they've got these huge events and everything. Well, they're very successful companies from a publisher point of view that are bringing in a lot of money through entertainment, right? These are entertainment companies that are pulling in, fees in some sort of way for skins or access to the game, etc. But that doesn't mean their esports space is really all that lucrative. And like the guy, they looked at me and they're like, we're jealous of you. You have adults. Like that's what he said. He was like, you have adults who will probably pay for the thing that you're doing at some point, right? We have like a ton of kids who don't have any money, and might just say, this doesn't really have the best shelf life and I'm going to go ride a bike actually. So like they were so, which is really interesting. Like that, we may have an opportunity because our service or our space has services and products and things that do have a really cool long shelf life that could really develop into a sport that people can relate to maybe in some larger ways. So, okay, well, we sit on two different sides of this. I agree with you that like when I step back and I go get out of our really focused space and I just kind of like put my phone down for a while and go lift at the gym and I've been playing hockey a lot actually lately. It all just disappears into
like
the
ice
background.
hockey or field hockey?
Yeah, I've been getting really good again too.
Wow.
I got the net out
Recipe
actually.
for injury.
I got the net out in the garage and I got the kids like shooting with me and working on pass and don't crack the egg and the whole deal kind of a thing. And so
do you have ice on your driveway?
No, it's not that cold here right now. No, no. We go to we have like three. We have 3 rinks within 30 minutes of our house. Yeah, so I'm gonna be joining the men's league for sure. I'll get some content. I'll put the GoPro or the 360 Insta on. And we'll definitely. I have to get my legs, you guys. Just we're so many tangents. I have pretty strong legs. Okay, I'm not trying to boast or anything. Right, like from cycling, and I can freaking leg press like 500 pounds a lot of times, right? So all that, but no hockey legs. I had like bruises from being able to push so hard against groin muscles. And I was like, oh, I couldn't even move the next day. Like, oh my gosh, it was so bad. I hadn't played in so long, but I have really good muscle memory because I played varsity in high school. So like I had good muscle memory. And it was like, well, that's great. The muscle memory is there, but man, you're hurting yourself right now.
See, I started playing football, like soccer, over the summer, and oh my God, the same thing. I was like, I'm real fit. This will be fine. But it's like sprint for 10 meters, pivot, turn. And I was like, my calves and Achilles have never been so sore. It was horrific. So I can feel you.
All right, should we move into, I landed in, there's opportunity in this space to go somewhere with sport. There's definitely something happening at the very high end, just like all of esports at the level of which we have our esport, and then, which is essentially funded by publishers right now is really what's going on, right? I hope that we'll have a self-sustaining space like you were talking about in the future. Leadout definitely wants to be a part of that, and that's why we're investing literally our own skin in the game for that. But it could also just be, and if we become, I always bring this one up. What's the thing where you shoot with the brooms? You have a broom? On the ice. Curling. We could become the curling. Like if curling's still a big deal, like to some people.
We will aspire to be curling.
No, at least no. I mean, there's a lot of sports. There's like a lot of sports in the world, right? That are, oh man, that's not what I meant. That are very hyper small niche, but they're still really, really like big in that niche, So okay.
I think you've got your tagline now. Leadout. We aspire to be curling.
not about delivering you to our finish line. We aspire to be Swift Games recap. Let's go. Here we go. So, what did you think of the point system? Up front, I was like, I don't know. For GC, I even got called out and got in a little bit of trouble for saying, in the background on a stream, points racing's dumb in GC. It should be timed, But then as we progressed through this, it got really interesting. I I kind of ate my words there. I felt like, okay, this was pretty freaking cool if you knew what you were getting yourself into.
I think you couldn't have had a better finale, honestly, than the men's race, where there was like at one point 4 people equal on points coming into that climb. And I think that a couple of them had gone about it a similar way, but Neil Frayette had gone about it in such a different way, like really, I guess like Kate McCarthy, focusing on the intermediaries, getting those points. It was very much like the green jersey competition at the Tour de France. It was like, you have to be there and be going for those bonus points every time because of the degree of difference between 10 points to 5 points for second. Like that's like 6 places at the finish line. It was huge, right? I'd like to see more intermediate points because I think in that race yesterday, there were two parts you could have intermediates and it created 2 totally different scenarios. So I think
too much pressure on one, too much given in one space, so not enough opportunity perhaps.
Yeah, and not in it, you want it to be as dynamic as possible, right? And Dan Lloyd actually made a good point. Put the intermediary points right at the bottom of the grade. Because if you're going to sprint all out for those, is that worth it? Because you're about to hit this threshold climb. So I think, more of those would be awesome. But I really like the way that worked in. I believe it kind of kept it interesting. And it, other than, Kate McCarthy was probably the one who you knew she was going to win. But other than that, it kept it on edge right till the end. Seeing Maria Holdcroft catch up to Gabby and you're like, oh, if she wins and Gabby comes third, Maria's got that second position. So it kept it in play the whole time.
Yeah, making sure that the communication was really good and that you kind of had to be involved all the way through. And we may have a higher view that makes it easier to understand because I think Niall does have a point. Time versus this point structure, time's just easier to understand. And so from you would have to make the courses a certain way that time would be super competitive to. And, so there's a little bit of that. I wonder if they're just different. They're just different. Before what went down on Zwift Games just now, I would have said, I prefer time and time is better in some ways. Now I'm kind of like, well, they're just different. And yes, there's pluses and minuses. The plus side with the points structure, I do think we need more opportunities though. I do think in order to make it so that people can kind of defend their position or not defend their position. There's kind of that idea in a competition that one and done and out kind of wrecks the spirit of being able to continually show something over and over and over again. I think in track, I've watched a little bit of track. I'm not super familiar with it, but when they do a lot of the points racing, they have a lot of different runs at it. And then you add up and you add up and add up and you can defend your position or not defend your position. And that actually proves who the best is, right? Rather than that was kind of just luck or
Why wouldn't you do then just time with time bonuses, at the Tour de France?
That would be pretty cool, I think, too. I was thinking about that. Yeah. And then you could go and try and get that time back. You can take a risk and try and get that time back at some point whenever you want.
Yeah. So you could, instead of getting 10 points, you get 20 seconds. Because imagine now you have, say, Gabby and Kate McCarthy going up that climb and Kate McCarthy knows she's got 20 seconds in her pocket.
Oh,
then suddenly you're going to have to attack and make it a 20-second gap. That's what we see between Jonas Vingegaard and Pogačar at the Tour de France. We see Pogačar going after every single time bonus. And suddenly, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, and he's 30 seconds ahead just on time bonus. So then Jonas is going, oh, shit, I need to be actually way further up the road. I can't just stick on his wheel. So yeah, maybe that would be the best of both worlds.
And it'd make for super aggressive racing then. Because if people are grabbing time bonuses, then you've got a situation where like, where can I get this back? I got to think of every moment, and you'll just have a lot more people taking chances to find time in different kinds of ways. And then the teams, I think, will start getting motivated to work together to find those launch points to kind of create those intense situations. Whereas now, again, I like what we saw. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I just don't know if it's the best way to present cycling necessarily from a simplicity point of view for the viewers to understand, and also for the opportunities that it provides to the athletes to prove themselves out on course in every way that they could.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I guess with the caveat of I thought it was awesome.
I do think it was awesome. I'm not saying it isn't awesome.
We're going like this
awesome.
Sort of like, we're going those little fine points, the fine points in between. But yeah, I think time would be cool. I think that would be good to give it a try. And it would be so similar to what cycling fans are used to that you'd kind of get it. But like, to be honest, like the viewers aren't idiots either. Like you'd watch it for 10 minutes and
start to understand. Yeah, totally, totally.
It's kind of like I watched an Omnium at the Olympics, and I started the Omnium being like, what is going on? Like, I have no idea what, like, and what was the one where they launched their friends off? You know, there's kind of like they are so complicated if you tune in for 10 seconds, but if you stick around for like 2 minutes, you kind of go like, okay, I know enough that I can enjoy watching this. Like, you know, we're not idiots.
Well, Zwift Games was pretty awesome. If you haven't watched it, make sure. And also the fact that it was on GCN Racing. I mean, kudos.
Are we going to talk about Kaminsky though?
To Zwift, and like that they brought that in. Okay, the Kaminsky thing. What happened there? And I don't feel like there's any shade. I saw the posts afterwards from Vyazin and Kaminsky, and they seemed fine. It looked to me
like someone said in the show, like there would be an awkward team bus afterwards. So for people who didn't know, so Michael Kaminsky and Lionel Vujasan are on the same team. Lionel Vujasan was going for the overall win of the whole Zwift Games, and he was going. What's his face had already won. Osborne had already won. Lionel Vujasan, if he came second, and then there was a person in between, and then the next person, he could have won, like on the numbers, he could have won Zwift Games. But his teammate comes through, honestly, in the last 300 meters and sprints him to the line. It was like a Lotte Kopecky, Demi Vollering, Strade Bianchi kind of situation, and sprinted past him. And so he couldn't get the win. I was just like, what the hell are you doing? And it didn't even impact Michael Kaminsky's points really at all.
But there was cash at the line. There was cash at the line.
Okay, well, just like Lionel Vujasan could share a bit of cash.
Yeah, there's teammate situation there that's where the agreements need to be there prior, right? Like when I would go to pro races and like I knew my buddy, you know, was in a series and he was going to take down a certain amount of cash. And if I'm leading into the finish line, I'm like, hey, dude, do we have a handshake here, man? Because like you can win. Yeah. Like go ahead. Like we're on the same team. You win, and then afterwards, I helped with that, so we split some cash afterwards, and we have an agreement coming in after. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that they're. If you do the math, I think that I don't know. I haven't done the math, but like this could be a scenario where, as a team, they would have made more if he didn't do that and took second to Lionel and got in between him and Ruben, and then they could have just split more cash. So like
exactly, it like mathematically didn't make sense, and then it just also didn't make sense. But I mean, when your heart rate's at 190,
yeah, that's a tough one.
You get. Do you know what I call it? White line fever. So like. This was a term that came up in our soccer games. Like you get the ball and people are open and they're yelling like, hey, pass. And you've just got white line fever and you're just running for the goal. You're like, no, there's 3 defenders and kick it myself. And I think that was it. It was like, I see the finish line. I'm gone. See ya.
What about YouTube comments? So apparently we're both insufferable as commentators.
It really dragged my day down. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really enjoyed the commentating, and you kind of have to go like. So, for context, I was keeping an eye on comments quite a lot because my son was staying with my parents, and he really missed me. And so I'd said, watch the broadcast and put something in the comments, and I'll say hi back. You know, it'll be like I'm there. And so I was keeping an eye on the comments, and then this guy's like, "That chick's insufferable." And then for the rest of the broadcast, I was like, oh, I feel a bit like deflated. I couldn't imagine being a celebrity and just having that constantly all the time. Like, what a drag.
Yeah, so we had one come in on the next Swift games. We just had fun with it on the second stage. We were just like, you commented on that one actually, because somebody said that I was insufferable, and I was like, I know, man, I can hardly handle myself. Like, I was like, whatever.
You coped with it well.
Yeah. And
did it make you feel sad at all?
At first, so like, I used to read the comments and be like, message somebody and be like, I'm sorry, you guys, can I do something better? You know, like whatever. And eventually, like, Zwift have been really good about it. And they're like, Nathan, the comments they got is like, we choose you. We like you. Like, you've done it, you know, you're there for a reason. You've been here a long time. Like, some people just, they have their tastes. You know what I mean? They have what they have. Like, and commentary and talent is very divisive, actually, for what people have a preference for. Like, you can't make everybody happy in that space, you know, no matter what. And I'm energetic. My tones come up sometimes when I get excited. I recognize everything that could bother people. I listen back and I go, okay, when can I calm down more? But at the same time, not like, I try to like make myself as palatable across the whole thing without losing what it is that I'm good at in what I'm doing, right? And what I'm good at is energy, fast talking, explaining exactly what's going on, and, you know, feeling like you're in it with me in the call to call. And so if I kill too much of that part of me, though, I lose everybody else that came originally for what was there, you know? And so there's this edge that you want to play, but at the same time, I can get better, and I take that and I go, okay, what is it that is insufferable actually about me? And what? No, I do. And I go, okay, I could slow down sometimes, right? There's some times that I could slow down, and there are some times when I probably make it feel like everyone's on the edge of their seat for too long, and it's stressful to listen to me, you know? So it's a good thing sometimes to hear those kinds of feedbacks. But we had fun with it, and I was really appreciative of the guys who came through and the gals who came through and said, you know, just had fun with the comment to be like, yeah, oh my gosh, and get with it, whatever, just as a joke.
Yeah, I know. I think it did. I've just heard all the scaffolding around our building is now coming down. So apologies if there's a lot of hammering you can hear all of a sudden. But yeah, I think it did make me go, oh, maybe I'm getting too excited. Like, don't want to go across the third wall. What is it? The fourth wall, and be a fan too much. Whew. Can you hear that? This is loud.
Yeah. We're definitely bringing in your in real life situation over there. That's okay though. Totally fine. Well, okay. So there's Zwift Games is good. YouTube comments, take them as they come. I think it's no big deal, and I actually appreciate them staying and they're not deleted unless it gets really out of hand and there's just trolls in there. But Anna is literally looking upward right now for those that are listening on audio.
The builder is like right by the window. I might just go have one quick chat and you go ahead.
Yeah, sounds good. So let's move to the Zwift update 1.86. I'm just going to walk everybody through this as Anna goes and make sure that the builder doesn't completely take over the entirety of the broadcast. So 1.86 is released for those that don't know what is going on with this. If you don't, I don't know where you've been within the Zwift world, or you haven't been on Zwift lately, because it has absolutely blown up, because Zwift have unlocked or have, put into the game upgrades to bikes now. So you are able to upgrade your bikes through earning that ability on each bike by riding them more. And on each bike, there are 5 upgrade stages, actually, from the amount of time that you put into each specific bike that you can upgrade. Anna, did you do your research on all the upgrades? You had an opinion up front about the opinions that are out there about this update and the upgrades. So let's touch the upgrades first.
Okay. Touch the upgrades. Well, can I just touch the overall, finally we got a garage update? Like, how long have we been waiting for this? This is what triggered me to message you and be like, oh my God, we've got a garage update. And I read through it initially. Obviously Eric from Zwift Insider has done great articles on it. Straight away I got it. I was just like, yes, awesome. This is unbelievable. It's that perfect mix of gaming, but to get you fitter as well, and then I guess that led on to, so I tell what it is. I mean, everyone listening here should know what this is. So there's been, so this is the upgrades of the bikes. So, if it's TT bikes, then you're upgrading by duration. If it's road bikes, you're upgrading by distance. And if it's climbing bikes, you're upgrading by elevation. You upgrade 3 bikes, so you trick them out. So you get the full upgrades of each bike, and then you can unlock the Halo bike. But that's only for Specialized, Cannondale, and Pinarello. And then there's also the Tron Halo bike as well, which we don't know so much about, I don't think. But first off is I just think this is awesome. Then second off, and I saw GP Llama did a video about it, and he kept mentioning how complicated it was. And then apparently Facebook kicked off about people are saying this is unfair, and it's creating, there's a term for it. Someone will chat will know, but it's like pricing people out. So you're creating performance enhancements in an unfair way. And I'm like, well, I don't think so. It's you can get faster in real life cycling by putting in more training. You don't turn up to someone on the start line though and say, hey, you don't have 3 kids, so you've got more time to train. You shouldn't be able to race with me. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I think we're talking seconds here, people. It's not the be all and end all. It's yes, a completely tricked out level 5 bike versus a level 1 one. Yeah, there's maybe I don't know, 25 seconds difference or something over a dead flat course, not taking into account any race dynamics whatsoever. So I think this is just all adding in a little bit of fun. And I think, Nathan, when we first started commentating together years ago, one of the funnest parts of commentary was looking at all the different bikes and being like, ooh, why have they gone that bike? And why have they gone those wheels? And why are they doing that? And what bike would be best for this course? And it was huge amounts of discussion, and I loved it. And I think it's become really neutralized over the years, that basically there's one TT bike you use, there's one road bike you use on basically all courses, and there's one wheel set. And that's it. And there's nothing to talk about. It became neutralized. And so I just think this is amazing. And I've got a great strategy for myself on what to do. And I think for all the people who are complaining, one, it is not that complicated. Honestly, it's not that complicated unless I'm missing something. Pick your climber, pick your roadie, and pick your TT. Focus on those, get them upgraded, and get your Halo bike. I'm focusing on Specialized. I want the Specialized Halo bike. So I've got the SL8
3, right? You have to do 3 of the Specialized bikes. See, this is where it gets a little complicated maybe to get to the Specialized, but to get to the Halo bike. But the Halo bike is the Golden Dragon that we've always talked about.
Yeah.
And this is welcome to World of Warcraft. Okay, real quickly on the whole idea, it's just you have to change the expectation because people are walking in and going, I'm fit, so therefore I'm going to bring everything and now it needs to all be equal. It's dude, there's a place for that. Just so you know, there's a place for that. You can go do that. You can go find events that are like that. But guess what? This is now going toward MMO, which is a different expectation of a game. Welcome to World of Warcraft, where I'm a level 5 leveling up and I enter a PvP area and the level 70 comes in and literally does their lowest level spell and I go, I'm dead. It's over. And is that fair? Well, it's fair in the fact that person has put 60 hours, 70 hours, days and days into the game to earn that ability, actually. So it's just a different way of getting at the ability. And they're thinking about my body in real life. And you're like, dude, there's a virtual world economy here that you need to exist within now.
I love it. So I'm going Specialized. So that's my focus point. I'm starting with the SL8 Tarmac because I think that'll be the best race all rounder. And I'm riding that all the time. Anytime I can, I'm on the SL8. But it was really interesting because we turned up to our TTT last week and we were all on the Specialized Shiv. When would anyone ride the Specialized Shiv? But I'm like, I'm not moving off Specialized because every single ounce of whatever distance time climbing at the moment has to be on a Specialized bike for me to get that halo.
Because
and
of
it's
this,
funny
this is the
I,
reason why right here, that thing,
this
that
is the one I
thing.
want.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that thing. What is that thing? For those who are listening on audio, I'm showing, what is this called? I don't even know what this thing's called. You know what it's called?
I don't know either. I have no idea. But then, but it was cool because
it's the Specialized bike, though. We're showing the Specialized bike that you can get. That's the Halo bike, where that looks kind of like
cool.
some sort of weird bird. It's like one of those birds that are in the south, like almost a flamingo. It's kind of like a flamingo, kind of like something else. Yeah.
It's like an awesome time trial bike. It's very cool. But I think what made it cool is when we turned up into the pens, I could see the group behind us were all on their Cadix tri-bike with their DT Swiss wheels. And my first thought was, they don't know. They don't know about these updates. They have no idea. So it was almost that little tip of the cap to the people who know. You know, like I'm riding around now and I see someone on a Specialized SL8. I'm like, know what you're doing. I see you. I see you. And then see like these first Halo bikes, that'll be like oh, I know what you've done. You have like clocked this game. You know, like I love it. I just think it's so great.
It is. It definitely is. I look, there is a part of me, and I have to say, I know that I sounded super critical of a certain way of thinking just a moment ago. I do have that way of thinking in me too. That way of thinking can exist in a neutralized bike space. Go for it. Right on. But in the open world space where like this is a game and it's just a game, I like it. We're starting to serve that more and grow that part more, and people start to coalesce toward that area. They start to migrate toward that area more, and that community will grow around. This is just a game. And then you can go and play in the other area and they become more defined even because of this. Because it has real definition and real role and real outcomes, you can start to go, oh, I get that this part is PvE. This is player versus environment. And it can kind of mix with the PvP a little bit, but it's more about me and the environment and what I earn from it in order to do what I can amongst everybody, right? Like it's just a different way of interaction. So I'm not saying it's bad to think, look, I'm showing up with my fitness and it better be what actually wins the race, because there's a place for that. And I love that. Like I'm super competitive and I want that. On the other end, this is fun gaming and a way to engage the people for something new.
Yeah. And if you take that as well, these are the virtual bikes. Like, yes, there's a time difference there, but there's probably a much bigger power difference between someone on a smart bike and me on my 15-year-old bike that I have on the trainer that probably has a horrific drivetrain efficiency. And so I probably lose a bunch of power actually that will make more of a difference than this virtual equipment that I'm looking to unlock. But question, Nathan, what's your strategy? What are you going for first?
I'm on the Specialized as well right now because it's just been what I've been riding. And the Specialized is the new fastest bike. So, of course, I'm going after that first. So, the Pinarello, though. Okay, I swapped. Okay, I was first on the Pinarello. And then I swapped to the Specialized. And I'm kind of vacillating between the two. I'm kind of like, and you got to fully commit. You got to fully commit. Unless you're like riding a lot. Unless you're riding your bike a lot, you have to completely commit in some ways. And so, hey, did you see Big Mig riding at 6.6 watts per kilogram? There's a bot. There's a bot now riding at 6.6 watts per kilogram on that Pinarello at all times. At least the last time I checked. I tried joining it. And I'm not. I'm gonna give it.
That's
to
your
the
zone too,
spot.
Nathan.
It was. I can easily hang out with the 4.0 to 4.5 bot, like totally fine in zone 2. That thing put me to threshold like immediately. I was, and there's nobody with it, so you're just getting the one person draft, just trying to hang on. I like it that Zwift put this out there because it's kind of like they put out this Uber boss that you have to take on. If you're going to try and take on Big Mig, I think they should leave that forever. It should just always be hammering out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. The question, what's the bike that's got the rollerblades?
The Cannondale, which always does weird
Yeah.
things. Like you have lefty forks, and then you have Cannondale always is kind of the out there. This is a real bike too. In real life, this is a real bike. I thought, somebody told me that this is a real bike. Maybe they were trolling me. It's really hard to ride.
Surely they're trolling. I actually kind of want that one, but I just, for racing purposes, I know I need the Specialized, but I'd way prefer to unlock this one. I just think it's crazy. It's so good.
Thomas Perrin just sent me an Instagram photo, a DM me an Instagram a photo of the Specialized. He has it, I think, at his house or
in real life.
Or he works for Specialized, I'm pretty sure, in branding and marketing. And he at least took a picture of this thing somewhere with his team probably or something. So he's like, yes, that's a real bike. Here, there it is.
Oh, wow. That is really cool. Yeah. Okay. You'd probably see some triathletes on that. See, the question is, after Specialized, what will you do? Because after Specialized, I'm going to go to
Pinarello,
boring old
sure.
Zwift frame. Oh, I'm going to go Zwift frames and get whatever this Halo Tron is. I want the Halo Tron.
Gotcha.
But I don't know really what it is yet. To know, it just sits there as like a Tron. So I'm not quite sure. So what is Eric says that
Zwift have been keeping it a secret on purpose. Like, don't go and let everybody know. Eric.
Yeah.
Keep it quiet still.
Yeah, so I think you can upgrade to this Tron Halo, but we don't really know what it is. So then I just want to get on that bandwagon so that when it does come out, because I'm sure I'll love it, I'll get that.
Anything else from the update? Oh, so the upgrades then and how they work. Do you like how they work? That you need to go in and actually push the button for it to upgrade? Instead of it just happening, like you have to go spend drops on it, because it could just sit there and you could get Simon.
Like 25,000.
Like getting Simon in Tron,
that's right.
And then you don't end up ever upgrading it because you forget.
I think it's way more obvious than that Tron one though. Like everyone made the Tron mistake. Whereas this is like, when I first went in my garage, it was like a pop-up. It was like, do you want to upgrade? I was like, oh,
and it has a little arrow that says like, hey, you have an upgrade. You have an upgrade.
Yeah,
it actually tells you. So
yeah. So I think that's good. And I think I do like how the fast bikes have like, it's like aero drivetrain, climbing, aero drivetrain. Like they're all performance improvements. And then the kind of crappy bikes have like, you get more XPs and you get more drops, which I'm like, well, that's cool. And that's why I think it'll be good, because I'm going to run out of drops. I've got 15 million drops and that Halo bike is 10 million or something. So I was like, oh, by the end of this, I'm going to be poor in Zwift.
I haven't been riding Zwift enough. Eric Schlange dropped me recently.
He's got 80 million.
I got 79 million. How did Eric get ahead of me? What's going on here? Man, I need to get moving. Gotta start riding my bike more. Zwift Community Live is coming in pretty quickly here. That's the thing. As I change.
The what, sorry?
I'm changing topics real quickly here. Anything else to cover on that? Go ahead if you want to cover the.
Well, I did want to say that this is a great garage update. There's been a couple of things that have happened in the garage. Like one is that only the bikes that you use the most are listed at the top. So that's essentially a garage cleanup, which has been really good. I've really, really enjoyed that. And then two, this one has actually made purchasing things in the garage enjoyable and fun again. Whereas before, like, why would you buy anything? Now, the next thing, and this is maybe when I'll come on as a guest again, is some virtual drops for jerseys. So, you complete challenges like Big Spin, all of this stuff, and you unlock things, and that's a cool way to do it. But there's also that idea I have where you want kind of like a virtual shop in game. So you like ride through and you can like ride through like a shop environment, like the arcade in Makuri or Neokyo where you ride through. It's something that in that period of time you're riding through, unless it's like a race, it won't trigger it. But they could be like, oh, just for this week, this custom jersey, and you're like, oh, actually, Yeah, cool. I will get that for
You go
1,000
there
drops.
to that area, pull in, and shop like you do in other games. You go to a certain area.
Exactly. Yeah.
This shop has whatever's available, and you can go spend your drops on. That's a cool idea. I like that.
Yeah, so then you've kind of got
then you get the Facebook comment, this is too complicated. I just want to write. Well, don't do it then. Then don't get it.
Just don't do it. Don't worry about it.
You don't have to go get it. Like, what's it?
Like the little direction arrows point up, and one is like, whatever the course is, and the other one is virtual shop. And you go, oh, actually, yeah, today I do feel like a new pair of shoes.
What did I say before? I had changed topics real quickly, and then I lost it. Okay. Well, let's go on to UK Esports Championships. That'll be the next thing. We talked about that a little bit already, but that's going to be this coming Friday with ZMS Studios. That will be on their YouTube channel. Anna and I are going to be commentating on that. And it is, we got a lot of participation actually, and it looks like we've got some top level esports riders. James Barnes is in there. Now Beatty, I'm seeing. Dean Cunningham who's also Dean is pushing, like he's one of the organizers around this, and it's been absolutely awesome to work with him. Josh Powers in there. I'm seeing, I think Perrin is riding as well, which is huge. Marcus Duval, Natalie Stevenson, Tammy Lewis-Jones. I'm seeing Holdcroft, Leah Cuthbertson, Charlotte Colclough. I mean, jump in. We're definitely going to try and highlight everybody through that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's in Glasgow, it looks like, is what we're doing. Outer Scotland for 33.3 kilometers, and it is going to be a points race after we just talked about points racing and whether or not we like time versus point. This will be a little bit different, though, as far as the points racing goes, as there are preems available to try and accumulate those as best you possibly can. There's quite a few opportunities, actually, for them, so...
Nice. I'm excited. Be good. Some more commentary. 3rd week of commentary in a row. It's like I've come back in all guns a-blazing.
Quick one, Zwift Community Live is coming up, which is not the channel that this used to be, but is a trip to Mallorca, where I'll be there. Dave Toll's going to be there.
You're going? Awesome.
Yeah. I'm going.
Very cool.
GP Llama, Eric from Zwift Insider, lots of different community leaders will be hanging out there. I do know that a lot, Kristen Armstrong is going to be there. I believe Freddie Ovitt. So anyways, it's going to be a lot of Zwift HQ people will be there. So essentially it's bringing together the entirety of the Zwift community, not the entirety, but a lot of the Zwift community for a Zwift Con kind of a thing. They're calling it Zwift Community Live. So, which is interesting.
Nice.
At Zwift Community Live, because I always say Zwift Community Live and then it's Zwift Community Live, but I kind of wanted to make this cool little, like, Zwift Community Live, like I'm riding a bike called Zwift Community Live, and then like I get off of it, I'm like, well, that was nice, and I give it a hug, and like it turns into something else and flies off and hangs out over Mallorca, and then I jump on a Leadout bike and start leading this pack of people. Kind of thing. Like, that's the animation in my head.
Oh my god. Well, that'll be fun. When are you doing that? When is that?
That we're leaving a week from tomorrow. To Spain.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. So Gabby was going to come, and we're so sad she can't come, but she can't make it. We actually even bought a ticket and everything. But yeah, can't make it. Yeah. So we're going to have to return, hopefully get a refund on the ticket, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Unless something like last minute can come through for her to be able to travel. It's just a travel issue. Waiting on things.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, hopefully, because that would be great. Spain's awesome.
It would be really awesome.
And then, Nathan, like, I'm a guest, so I will see you again when we've had some major garage or like fun update that's worth talking about. Maybe some awesome unlocks. We didn't even talk about all the big spin, amazing unlocks that have been going around. But that can be another one.
Yeah, she's got to go. There's a hard cutoff. I can't take all of Anna's time. But the big spin. Have you been doing big spins though? Last question before we go.
Oh yeah.
And have you been doing big spin? Like how many have you gotten in a single event?
So I cannot do the France one in a single one. I worked so incredibly hard. I missed it by
You
like
can't
2
make
minutes.
it.
I couldn't
No,
do
you
it.
can't make it.
No.
We went, you have to do 49 kilometers per hour to make it.
It was, I worked my ass off. It was so hard.
I was asking guys to rotate at the front. We were doing 5 watts per kilogram. We couldn't make it.
Yeah.
It was insane.
It was crazy. So that one I couldn't do. The one before it, I did a few times. You know, the around the new roads, finishing what are those new roads even called? I always forget. But you know, the Mayan jungle road kind of one. So I did that one quite a few times. I'm late joining the hell out of these. Like I'm entering them all the time and then joining with like 2 minutes to spare and being like, yes, just roll through the last 5 kilometers. I know some people controversially hate the late joiners, but I am like definitely one of them. Yeah, it's great. I haven't unlocked everything. So I'm waiting for the catch up rounds and then I'll just do a whole ton of them all at once.
I don't even know if I've unlocked everything. I got to double check. I did a bunch of them at first, and then I wasn't getting the BMX bikes so many times that I kind of got jaded a little bit.
I got the bike, so I was like,
I got the bike finally. I finally got the bike, but I got a little like, come on, like what's going on here? So I'll jump back into them. I've only gotten 2 spins on these. I wonder if they did a little bit of coding in the background because people were getting 4 or 5. Like, well, I think the most I ever got was 4. It was a pretty big scam in McCurry.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be it for episode number 1. Thanks so much, Anna, for jumping on for this recap. If you guys want to listen to the audio version, you can always download over on any of the places that you download your podcast. Just search In the Draft. You should be able to find it. Or if you already subscribed to Zwift Community Live, all the Zwift Community Live outlets for media have now been rebranded to Leadout. So make sure to follow all those spaces. But from Anna and I, thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. You'll see me next time for episode number 2. As always, should we say Ride On? Nah, what are we going to say? Something else. I got to come up with a new tagline on that for sure.
Go curling.
Go curling as the joke for now. Go curling. Later.